Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is Armchair Quarterbacks, Mile High Edition. We got a special episode of Draft Recap for the Denver Broncos. I am Michael Worth.
I am Nick Duran. Please like and subscribe down at the bottom. It's been a week since we've been on. We took a week off, but we have a lot of exciting news to talk about with the Denver. A lot of Denver Bronco talk today. Excited to give a little draft recap, our thoughts, opinions, some question marks. Overall, Mike, how'd you think the draft go?
You know, I was really 100% certain they were going to take Justin Fields. I was always under the impression that if a quarterback fell, that they were going to take him. So I was beyond shocked that they didn't take him. In saying that, Patrick Surtain is a stud, so I'm not upset about it. It's just we have a lot of corners now. I think Patrick Surtain is going to be a true lockdown corner. He was an All-American, unanimous selection this year. He was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year. He was a freshman starter, freshman All-American, honorable mention All-American as a sophomore. So the guy is a stud, and he's going to continue to be a stud. It felt weird. What did you think?
I completely agree. And the funny part is that if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure on episode one.
You called Surtain in their very first draft talk.
The very first draft talk, I said that we are going to go get that guy. If I said, though, a caveat, if a quarterback is not available, we were going to pick him. And I did not think that we were going to pass on one and then two quarterbacks. The last thing I want to have happen is another year or another 4 years go by, and all of a sudden, Justin Fields and or Mac Jones turn out to be Drew Brees and a Russell Wilson type player, and then we messed up again. Like here's the thing about I'm not Bradley Chubb's not terrible. He definitely is a force to be reckoned with on defense, but we did pass on Josh Allen to get him.
Right.
And so
and to your point, Bradley Chubb, he could be if he didn't get hurt in his second year, he could have already been an all-pro defensive end. But you're not building championship teams with all-pro defensive ends. They're building blocks and they're helpful, but this is the NFL of the 2020, and we need a quarterback.
Yep. And so that was a huge head scratcher. I was in Atlanta watching the draft and at a bar, and the couple of guys that I was talking to, I thought I was as confident as I could have ever been that we were going to pick a quarterback. And when we didn't, I was a little shocked.
Yeah.
But like you said, from a defensive back standpoint,
we got the best defensive player in the draft is now a Denver Bronco.
Yes, 100% agree. I think he's going to come in and make an immediate impact. And it makes sense if – because the other corners that we brought in were only on 1-year deals. So I can see kind of where they're coming from, and they want to get someone in who's going to be long-term and who's going to complement Justin Simmons. And so I think, right now, Broncos have a top 3 defense.
Yeah. And so
if everyone's healthy, we got a top 3 defense.
Absolutely. According to Pro Football Focus, we have the 6th best roster in the NFL. They came out and ranked everybody, and they said the reason we were only 6th is because Drew Lock. They couldn't put us any higher because of that. Patrick Surtain. So defensive back is a very expensive position in the NFL. You're going to allocate a lot of salary cap. So it is nice to have somebody who could definitely be one of the best in the league very relatively soon under a rookie deal for the next 5 years. So I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with, and it's not from him being the player or what type of player he is or anything like that. It's trading up for Devonta Williams.
5 picks, 5 spots,
5 picks. He was going to be there. I don't think anybody picking in between us was going to take a running back. We had Miami. I don't think would have taken him. I think Miami took a running back in the first round. I don't know. But Philadelphia, I don't think. New England definitely wouldn't take a running back in the first round. So I was really disappointed with that. I thought they traded up for the big defensive tackle from Alabama or the linebacker from Notre Dame. I was really hoping for the linebacker from Notre Dame.
I agree. Like it being that it's been a glaring weakness, and the Broncos, for whatever reason, seem to give up linebackers like they fall out of trees. It just it was a questionable move. I completely agree, and we were texting back and forth throughout the draft. And, when right before the Broncos picked, I said we better pick an inside linebacker. We better go linebacker on this pick.
Yeah,
there are some great linebackers available, especially the guy from Notre Dame. And when they picked the running back, I was really confused. And you made a great point on Friday. And we gave up a small running back. We let go of Philip Lindsay, who's a smaller back, to draft a smaller back.
Right.
Here's the thing, though. He outweighs Philip Lindsay.
Yeah,
by about
he's like
20 pounds.
he kind of reminds me of CJ Anderson. He's like a short little stubby guy who doesn't go down very easy. But my thing is now we've allocated in the last 2 years a high price free agent and a high value draft pick to a position that I think is very interchangeable in the NFL offenses today. I don't think you need to do that. You look around the NFL and you see who's the best running backs in the league. You got Alvin Kamara. You got Kareem Hunt a couple years ago, who was a lower draft pick. You got the other guy from Cleveland, Chubb, who was at the end of the second round. You don't have early second round draft picks or first round draft picks being the best running backs in the league. You have, Saquon Barkley. He's maybe one of the most talented, but he's hurt and he hasn't been that much better than other people have been better than him that were drafted way lower. So why waste a premium draft pick on somebody who you could get later in the draft?
Absolutely agree. Even Philip Lindsay, undrafted.
Undrafted.
It's a
had holes in his game, but not a lot spent on him.
From a Philip Lindsay standpoint, undrafted free agent, but I don't think anyone should, I don't care what team you're on or what team you root for, I don't think anyone should draft a running back before this third round as is. Now, here's the thing, though. Devonta had a really good senior season, finished with 1,445 all-purpose yards, 22 touchdowns. So definitely has talent, average 6.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. 6.3 yards per carry, and he's a very, very tough back to bring down. So will he add value to the team? Yes. Without a doubt, I think he will. But in the position that we drafted him and moving up 5 picks to get him, I think that was a stretch on our end.
Yeah, and the other thing is you look at the running backs that we've drafted in the second round that were studs in college. You got Monty Ball. You have Royce Freeman. There's a lot of running backs who weren't really necessarily highly touted coming out of college that succeed. And then you have guys who just the game doesn't translate. And so I think you spent 2 picks in the 6th round every year on a running back and see who pans out.
The interesting part, too, is that, from a Broncos standpoint, and this is obviously my opinion, but the best Broncos running back that in my lifetime that we drafted came in the 6th round with Terrell Davis.
Yeah, absolutely. Not the best running back in our lifetime, but I'd argue he's better than anybody who's ever put on the Broncos jersey and carried the ball. You got Floyd Little, you have a couple other guys who didn't, but the only one who you might be able to compare is Clinton Portis had a good run and Floyd Little was really good, just a different time.
Right.
But I think he's better than both of them.
So looking at the 10 picks for the Broncos, I was a little shocked that we only went 2 linebackers out of the 10.
Yep.
Not going to lie on that one. It's a position that we are a little weak on. And then we drafted 2 more safeties.
Yeah.
So it's just like we went so DB heavy with our off-season high signings and draft. I just am kind of curious as to what you think.
The only thing I can think of is last year we went so offensive heavy. And if you look at our salary cap, you look at the offense is way lower than the defense. Our defense doesn't have a lot of age, but it has a lot of high price free agents. So I guess they're thinking you got to cycle through, load up. They spent majority of their draft picks on offense last year. They spent the majority this year. Now I do know their special teams sucked. So having 2 safeties and a cornerback late in the draft is not the end of the world if they can play special teams. but there's no room for him right now. Baron Browning, I mean, he's a pretty good linebacker. I think he can add value to us in the future, so I'm not upset with that one. There's not. Go ahead.
I mean, Baron Browning had a really good sophomore season.
Mm-hmm.
I think he kind of tailed off a little bit junior and senior year. He played okay in the championship game. The thing is that I think he gets lost a lot of times. Like I went back this after the draft and watched a lot of like the tape on him, and puts himself in good positions. But on the flip side, you can lose him in, just on the field in general. He's almost like he's just like a guy who's on the field, not making a lot of impact plays. And in the NFL and then for the Broncos specifically, because we want everyone on the field to be as good as possible. It's just like, like I just wasn't excited as I would have been if we would have went after the guy from Notre Dame.
Yeah, I agree. And he's not a game changer. I don't even know if he'll ever get to the point where he's better than Jewel. He's definitely not going to be better than Anthony Johnson or Alexander Johnson. But he might be able to replace Jewel. Jewel's pretty slow, but he is good on run defense. So yeah, but I was really, really hoping for the guy from Notre Dame. I thought he was the second best linebacker in the league. He fell all the way down to the 50th pick, which most analysts were pretty shocked about. Thought he would be in the top 20 for sure. So just to not use that pick, and let alone not use that pick, but trade up to lose a third round pick and draft somebody who I feel like would have been there, was a bad use of the board. The one thing, go ahead.
I was going to say, one, I didn't even know Wisconsin Whitewater was a school. No clue.
No.
And so that for me, he's a big guy, 6'3", 320.
Yep.
His hands almost 10 and a half inches, which is a huge hand. Wingspan's 82.
Oh yeah, he's a beast.
He's a big guy, but
I actually think he's gonna be a stud.
So is that your steal of the draft?
I think it could be, man. I was watching Senior Bowl highlights of him because he hasn't played against top talent at Whitewater, Washington, but he stood out among the best of the best in the Senior Bowl. Or not the Senior Bowl, like the senior practices and stuff, because I don't think they actually played the game. They might have, and I might have missed it. But all the tape that they had of him on that little weekend, he stood out. He was good. I think he's going to be a project, but in a year or two, I think he could be one of the anchors of our interior offensive line.
No, yeah, definitely going to come in as a guard. He's not
he's
quick
not
enough
going to be a tackle.
Not quick enough to be a tackle. Honestly, like if the tackle from Oregon would have fell, was on the board, we would have had to have taken that guy. Yeah,
he's a beast. I was watching the draft, ironically at a bar too, but in Arizona, and right before the Rockies game, I had tickets to the Rockies.
Oh, nice.
And he was falling, and I was like, okay. And then they were starting to show highlights after he got drafted, and that guy is a monster. He's an all-pro day one.
Yes. I'm excited. I think but we have to touch on the rumor mill.
So if this is really happening, which it sounds like it's kind of a hot buzz and there is actual traction to it, then this draft goes from a solid B+ to A++.
A+++.
Because there's no need for a quarterback in the next 3 years if we could get Aaron Rodgers in orange and blue. And
if he comes, then they'll Pro Football Focus is going to have to re-rank the Broncos from a roster standpoint from 6 to 1.
I think the Broncos would go to the favorites to win the Super Bowl at that point.
I completely agree.
I think they will go from middle of the pack betting to if not the odds-on favorite to second at the worst.
I mean, that's why I wore my Super Bowl 50 shirt today.
I mean, we had to rent a quarterback with Peyton Manning, send the legend off with the Super Bowl because Indianapolis couldn't do it. Green Bay can't do it. Send him here so we could send him off with the Super Bowl.
And his fiance's from Boulder. She likes to eat dirt and eat granola and wear Birkenstocks and all that stuff. So it makes sense that that she's in the area. But the funny part though is that if with the Packers just not surrounding him, even with their first pick, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, way to drive a nail in the coffin and not give this guy another weapon, and you go defense with your first pick and not helping him out at all. So if you're Aaron Rodgers,
that's way better than what they did last year. At least defense can help him out overall as far as making the team better. But to draft a replacement when he probably had at least 4 years left on his career, that's
even if we get him for 3 years, it's a hypothetical. But if we were to get him for 3 years, we would go to the Super Bowl 2 years. Two of those 3 years.
Oh, for sure. I can't imagine. I mean, the talent in our wide receiver corps is there. Sutton's one of the best in the league. And I think with a full off season and getting rid of the drops, Judy is going to be a monster this year because he gets open and he doesn't have a history of dropping passes in college. So, it was pretty ugly on some games, but rookies dropped the ball. I mean, Devonta Adams, the receiver over with Green Bay, had terrible drop issues his rookie year, and he doesn't drop anything anymore. So it happens. You're acclimating to a faster game.
Right.
So I'm not worried about him, but I think with somebody throwing the ball like Aaron Rodgers, those guys would be phenomenal.
And the thing is that, even with the guy that from a wide receiver corps, I don't think he's going to help on special teams at all. But the Seth Williams, the guy that we picked up from Auburn, he's a big kid. He's 6'3", 215.
Yeah.
And so the Broncos have done a really good job of getting really big, fast wide receivers who are going to just basically out muscle and out jump you to a lot of these balls. So, it's Aaron Rodgers would have to think twice if he was going to pick someone like the 49ers or the Raiders. Like it's not even comparable from winning a championship. I mean, what are the odds? I mean, I would if I was Peyton Manning. I love the Broncos and I love Denver. What are the odds? You just pick up the phone and be like, "Hey, this is Peyton Manning." Like it's a good decision. Like, the team is set up. The team is set up to win now, and if you want to win another Super Bowl, Aaron, this is where you come to do it. And here's the thing: when Peyton Manning came to the Broncos were a good football team. They were not bad. We just had
not at all.
Tim Tebow. We just had to be the same type of situation, which is like almost a worse quarterback with Tim Tebow. The amount of effort and now, I guess, playmaking that the Broncos would just elevate their game to with just that one extra body in the locker room. It's same team. They're going to go so much harder because now they know that they have a legit shot of winning the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
And the effort increases, the intensity increases, and it's just they need to do everything in their power to get them. The problem is like I just don't think Green Bay is going to give them up. It's hard for. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't do it. If they got a lot of draft capital back, if they got some salary, it's a huge salary cap hit for them. $22 million that they don't have to pay, which is a massive amount of money. And they drafted Jordan Love, who now has a year under Aaron Rodgers.
It's kind of a Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers situation.
Exactly. He's the quarterback of your future. Go that direction, get something back out of it. And here's the deal: just know that you're going to be watching Aaron Rodgers in a Broncos uniform win a Super Bowl, and just like Indy did.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, how cool would that be as a Broncos franchise? So John Elway goes out and retires on back-to-back Super Bowls. Then you get who arguably is the greatest quarterback of all time, and Peyton Manning coming over, should have won 2 Super Bowls at least.
Should have won 2. Should have that 2012 or 15 one, or when was it? 12.
Yeah. But he went out, retired after winning a Super Bowl with the Broncos, and you could get another quarterback who is arguably, I won't put him in the generation of Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, so arguably the best quarterback of his generation over Roethlisberger and all those guys to go out and win a Super Bowl. It'd be in orange and blue. That would be really cool. It'd be really cool.
And to get our 4th Super Bowl, it puts us in a different category of organization.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't understand about the Broncos. I really don't. It's just like, hey, we cannot win with the quarterbacks that we have today. Teddy Two Glove and Drew Lock are they're going to win a couple games here and there, but they're not a Patrick Mahomes that they could put the team on their
Right.
back, or an Elway in the 80s that would put the team on his back and get us to a Super Bowl. They're just not those. There's just not those
For
players.
Denver to have any chance next year, they would have to have a historically great defense again, like they did for Super Bowl 50. That would be the only chance. Or Drew Lock. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater. I don't want to see Teddy Bridgewater playing. I would rather see Drew Lock take a step forward, because we already know what Bridgewater is. He's a backup. He's a career backup. He's good. But at least with Drew Lock, you don't know 100% what you're getting. So I would hate to see. But I mean, neither of them are. You don't get excited over either of them. So
no, you really don't.
So it would be something that would change the whole atmosphere in Mile High. So I'm all for it. And Aaron, if you ever hear this, just threaten you're going to go host Jeopardy. Retire. Say trade me to Denver or retire. Just you don't want to play.
And look, we'll send you the playbook. Retire for the first 6 games of the season. Come out of retirement and come play for the Broncos.
Yep, exactly. So what overall grade would you give the Broncos draft?
I would give the Broncos draft a solid B-.
B-? Okay.
There's a couple stretches. I think the offensive guard, Patrick Surtain is going to be an absolute stud. But it's a coin flip for a lot of people, from 4 rounds 4 to 7. You just never know. I think the overall grade across the analysts grading the Broncos was a solid B.
Yeah, I think a lot of everybody gave like B pluses, couple A minuses, so they think they did good. I don't like to grade drafts based on the players they got, because it's really hard. Nobody knows. Otherwise, somebody would be making tens of millions of dollars as the highest paid GM ever if they really knew who was going to pan out. But
right.
I like to grade it based on did we pick players of need? Did we maneuver in the draft well? And I don't think we did. So I don't think we hit some of our biggest needs. I'm not going to argue the Surtain pick, because I like the player, and at that point in time, he was probably the surest pick in the entire draft.
I agree.
So I'll give that a solid pick. But I just didn't think they addressed needs and people who were going to make impacts immediately or fill holes of what we already had. So I'm giving them C+. Now they could have drafted 5 Pro Bowlers and it'll change, but just based on need and the way they maneuvered, it was just mediocre for me.
Yep. I completely agree. From a movement standpoint, we could have made couple different moves. I'll stick with my B-. B- grade, C+. It's like the same thing. It's like 4 percentage points off.
Yeah. It could be. I gave him a 77, and you gave him an 81. So
yeah.
So all right, guys, that's our quick episode of the draft recap. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.